What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode here on a Sunday morning of the Fatboy FadeAway Sports Podcast. We're here 6:54 a.m., getting started a little earlier than we've been the last few weeks. So we're glad to be here with you on a busy Sunday, week 9 of the NFL. NBA will eventually get into here as well. NBA draft. T, what's up? How you doing?
I'm doing well. We made it. We're all fully dressed, ready to go.
Fully dressed.
Got to do president.
Yes, we do. A busy week all the way around. Craziness. Case, how was your week? How was your work week?
It was good, man. Just happy it's Friday. Yesterday, the other day, I was like, man, I got 2 days off, and now it's Sunday. I'm like, what the hell happened? But it's a good day. Chilling, chopping it up with you two. It's going to be a good, glorious Sunday. Football all day. Life is good. USA, USA, USA.
Yeah, I thought it was there was some. We're not going to get into big college football, but man, there were some good games yesterday. Though with that Clemson Notre Dame game was entertaining, and so there's off to start now that basketball is really not in session here at all. I'm not the biggest college football fan, other than maybe just keeping track of Cal and the top teams, but and some of the top prospects. But now with no basketball, I'll probably have to check in a little bit more on that. But that was a good ending to that game last night. I do think Clemson still pulls that out if they probably have the long-haired man in the game. So we'll see. But
Ian Libro is really good.
He is pretty good. Lawrence just probably makes a few more plays down. That's just my opinion. But Clemson still played really well there. So. But let's get into it, gentlemen. Let's talk about the best thing we saw this week, or best thing coming up this week, probably in this case. With the craziness of the election going on Tuesday, and we finally now have a new president, and we can kind of maybe now take a deep breath now that this kind of whole election thing has passed. It always feels like so crazy in the United States of America, that last 6 months building up to this thing. So hopefully, it's a chance for us to somehow unite here. But with all that said, I think it's a good time for us to also shout out the veterans, obviously, with Veterans Day coming up on Wednesday. They're kind of stuck in the middle. I always think about them in the middle of this too, because they have to fight for our freedom regardless of the president. It doesn't really matter in that sense. Like if Biden's the president or Trump's, it doesn't really affect them possibly dying out there at war. So I think when you put things in perspective like that, I think me and you, all three of us, have never, ever talked about wanting to go to the battlegrounds ever. So I think we three, having grandparents, and Tyler, I know you have a cousin that you are going to talk about here in a sec, but I think it's pretty easy for us to have a lot of respect for those people, and just for what they do, and just thank you for your service and for your family's service, and especially for the people that have fought before. Like our grandparents, or this guy I work with, Joe, who fought in Vietnam and tells me these crazy stories. Like he tells me how he was in charge in Vietnam of going out at night by himself to have to look where the enemy was. And I was like, yeah, I'd probably be a little, I'd be probably peeing my pants as well. That's what he told me. So just when you start thinking of real life stuff like that too, I think it's good for us to shout out veterans, especially on Veterans Day coming up this Wednesday. So T, Case, I know you both wanted to shout out a little bit. T, what do you said you had a family member there?
Yeah. Well, not now. He's not active, but just my cousin Jim, he went over there. He signed up right before 9/11, and then 9/11 hit, and he's like, oh, fuck, here we go, I guess. Like,
crazy.
And he wanted to be like an Army Ranger, and then that went out the door once because everyone just got pushed to the front lines. And
so he ended up going over to Afghanistan?
Yeah, he was in Fallujah and all sorts of crazy shit.
That's crazy.
Yeah, shout out to you, Jim.
Nice. Case, any thoughts?
Yeah, man. Just want to say thanks for the service. It's allows us to live a life that we're privileged to live. It takes.
That was the best word I've ever heard you use.
It is. It's a privilege, man, to live the life we're living, because they are the ones that are the true heroes that we never get talked about. And, even those that came before us, unfortunately, some were not treated the best when they came back. But, our grandfather on my mom's side, he had a pretty cool interview with my brother. I'm sure he recalls, but he didn't really talk about it a whole lot. I just remember one question my brother asked him was, "Were you scared?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, I was scared." I can't even imagine being 18 years old going into that, grown man. Like, it's a whole nother world that I can't even fathom or picture. But just salute to all the veterans out there. And,
It's all of
God
us a big
bless
salute.
USA,
Definitely.
man. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I think with that said, obviously big salute here to the veterans coming up on Wednesday. So with that said, let's get into the NFL here, gentlemen. Starting up this week, we got. Can you believe it? Already week 9. We're already halfway. We're basically at the halfway point here.
Man, it's almost Thanksgiving. Holy moly.
And unfortunately, the Cowboys are on that game this year. The NFL, though, there's a lot going on. Injuries. I feel like I bring it up every week. Injuries and COVID just continue to kind of be a back theme to everything. Not really necessarily completely affecting teams the way I thought it was, but it always kind of is preventing teams from practicing or getting in their building and some of these other factors. And it's really killing a team like our very own over here, Tyler Mergerks, San Francisco 49ers, who threw out a freshman team out there basically against the Packers. And it's hard to watch some of those games, right?
Oh man, that was, at least we killed the Nick Mullins hype immediately. That's the good news.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was bad. I saw this thing on Twitter and it listed all the Niners that were out. It was like Pro Bowlers and
like who's who. Yeah, so the Niners throw out a freshman team. There's probably going to be a few other teams like that down the road that continue to throw out some bad teams.
It literally looked like the only game I ever watched Tyler play quarterback at San Jose.
Roll out right.
Run for your life, Tyler. I was just like, Mullins, I was just like, God, you have like 2 seconds to throw the ball. And I was like, every time you do get a pass, the guy drops it. I was like, this sucks. Like, these guys are not very good. I was like, felt hella bad for Mullins. He's not the best, but it's hard when you have no time to throw the ball.
Yeah. So with that, so with the injuries probably adding up with the Niners, it's going to probably start to affect other teams here. Clowney possibly out with the Titans, Brown out for the Raiders again, and Stafford, it sounds like he's going to be back for the Lions, even though he was dealing with the COVID earlier. However, there are some guys that are going to be back this week. McCaffrey's one of them, so he should make the Panthers a little bit more exciting there. Antonio Brown, the big one for the Bucs against the Saints tonight. And then Michael Thomas, finally making his return, has murdered my fantasy team by not playing at all this season. He's supposed to be back. We'll wait to see if that's the case. But with that said, we've also had some good teams as well, like Seattle, Pittsburgh, Tampa, that we'll talk about a little bit later. That's also made the football season a little bit intriguing. But with that said, gentlemen, let's get into our Go for Two segment, which is our 2 games that we're going to talk about going into week 9. So, first game here is probably the best game on the docket, I feel like, is Saints at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's favored by 4.5 points. They lost the first meeting in Tampa Bay. It was a close game. I feel like Tampa's clicking, obviously, a lot more on all cylinders here. So Tyler, you get the first question here. My other concern is the Saints. I haven't been impressed with any of their wins yet. So Tyler, with that question, other than the week 1 win, I'll give you that. So Tyler, my question to you is, do you feel like the Saints window is closed? And for this game in particular, what are you looking for, and who do you like?
The window's not closed quite yet. They haven't had Michael Thomas all year, so they haven't been playing with a full offensive regimen, or like their whole stable of players and playmakers. And I think that'll help Drew Brees, and he'll look more like Drew Brees with Michael Thomas back. So I'm taking the Saints to beat the Bucs again. And I don't think the window's closed.
Top 15 quarterback, though.
He was last year, wasn't he?
I know, but do you feel like he's a top 15 quarterback?
He hasn't played with Michael Thomas. Yeah, absolutely. He's top 15 quarterback. There's not 15 guys 15? I'm taking. For this year, yeah.
Yeah. I'm starting to wonder. I'm kind of like looking at the number. Like would you rather have like him or Stafford now? Like, is he in that Stafford mold of a quarterback?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I don't know.
To win a game, I'd take Drew Brees in a heartbeat over Matthew Stafford. I don't
Case, what
think
do
it's
you
even
think?
close.
Case, what do you think? You think the Saints window might be closed, like Tyler's saying, or like Tyler says it's still not
That's
quite closed.
not close.
I'm kind of thinking it is close because I'm saying Breeze is a little bit past that mark there. So, what do you think?
To me, it's kind of like my old days. It's like my hatchback when it's all hot box. It's pretty much closed. There just might be a little bit leaking out in the back. So it's like there might be a little bit of a chance, but I just think the window's closed, man. All four are shut down. I just don't see it happening anymore. I think their window passed, man. They just have no shot. It's
Yeah,
shut, but Breeze is, I don't know, man. It's tough to watch, man. Sometimes he's getting to that point where he doesn't have the arm strength, and he's Kamara, and that's pretty much it, man. Thomas, like
yeah,
Tyler
no,
said,
Kamara's
that's it. There's nothing else really to go for him.
He's throwing to Traquan Smith.
So, do you like Tampa in this game then?
Oh yeah, right. And plus they got AB, so I'm sure they're going to feed him the ball. Antonio Brown,
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see how they end up using
Godwin,
him with that.
Godwin's coming back, I believe, after his finger, so he should be good to go from what they said.
My finger hurts.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with the game. It's a big game.
You just got landscaping duty.
Now your back's gonna hurt.
Your back's gonna hurt. Always a classic movie there for those lines. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what the Saints do if they can. It's a big game for them because if they can win this one, it really kind of makes me think a lot differently about Tampa Bay because I'm starting to really feel like Tampa is one of the cream of the crop teams here. So that really changed things if the Saints pull it out today. Let's go to our second game here that we're going to look at. We're going to look at the Raiders at Chargers game here. It's a pick'em game. So I thought it was an interesting game. The Chargers are they just know how to blow games. They're just one of those teams that I forget the stat. Tyler, it's something crazy. Haven't they blown a 16-point lead the last 3 weeks or something like that? I feel like it's something crazy.
They're professional blowjobbers.
And the crazy thing is Anthony Lynn is the best coach for 52 minutes of a game. And then for the last 8 minutes, he can't seem to close the deal. So, I kind of want to get away from the game though for a second because I want to ask you a question about the Chargers head coach because I read an article online today from somebody on Twitter earlier in the week, and he was saying that he felt like the Chargers head coach Anthony Lynn should be fired, and he said there's a reason that he's not going to be fired though is because the quarterback Herbert is saving his job. Before you answer my question, my argument to that would be, well, he was 12-4 his first year, 9-7 the second year, and doesn't usually a head coach need a good young quarterback to have a good record. So, what do you think about that? Do you think he should be fired? How do you feel about the young quarterbacks saving somebody's job? And then, of course, who do you like in the game?
Oh, well, I'm not firing a coach with a rookie quarterback who's flourishing during the season. After the season, you might be able to take a look at it. But Herbert's playing so well, and I'm not going to have him have a change in the middle of it.
No, but
I don't think his job should be in danger until the offseason, depending on how they finish. If they keep blowing 16-point leads, then yeah, you got to get rid of the guy. But if they go 8-8 or 7-9, I'd keep him one more year if Herbert keeps this up.
Case, what do you think about that?
I don't see how you can get rid of him. I think I think he's a good coach. I think that sometimes, things just – I know it's a trend, but, Herbert when I watch him, he looks unreal. To me, he's way better than Carson Wentz, and he's
to
me, I was just going to say, if you're going to let Jason Garrett coach a decade, you got to let Anthony Lynn at least play this out.
Yeah. No, so I guess my real question to you my argument with the guy that actually proposed this question is I thought it was ridiculous that he made the point that the only reason his job is being saved is because he has a good young quarterback. So I wrote back to the guy, usually if you're a good head coach, you have to have a good young quarterback. You know what I mean? So to me, it's kind of ridiculous that the guy he almost has a pretty good record And now he does have a good young quarterback. So now you would think his team would even start to get better. So that's kind of my whole point is like, if you're going to be a head coach, usually you need a good quarterback anyways, right?
Well, you have to. That's how you win.
Yeah. So it's like, and the guy was 12-4 with Phillip Rivers at old.
I mean, you're not going to win like the Ravens when they had Trent Dilfer anymore. You have to have you have to have a quarterback.
Yeah, no doubt. So I guess then back to the game here. Who do you like to pull this game out? You like the Raiders or you like the Chargers to win this one today?
This is the one I struggle with because my heart says the Raiders, but I know the Raiders so well that these are the games that they just fucking lose. Where it's like, oh, you can be 5-3, and it's like, nope, 2-4 Chargers are rolling in. You're gonna fucking fuck the season up, so you're going back to 500. So I'm taking the Chargers. I'm not doing it anymore. I can't do it.
That's funny how me and you think the same way. Tyler, who do you like in this game?
I got the Chargers, and my reasons will be in the. Well, I could say I just love Herbert. He's like my favorite player to watch right now. The way he throws the deep ball, and how he's turned Mike Williams into the Mike Williams I thought he'd be when he was drafted. I was like, this guy is a beast. He's
out of USC,
go up
right?
and get. No, he went to. That's different, Mike Williams. This
No,
guy went
Clemson.
Clemson.
Yeah.
With Deshaun Watson. Can go up and get it. Just give him a chance. And Phillip would always just throw these little 5-yard routes to Keenan Allen. 5-yard route to Keenan Allen.
Maybe it's because of Oregon's offense, but you never really got this. I never felt like Herbert. He was more such a precision offense. It didn't seem
when
like
he was like, they're like, this guy's a top 10 pick. I was like, this guy's a bum. Like in college, I was like, this guy's not NFL material. I was never impressed with him in college.
No, he's really good.
Now he's fun to watch.
Yeah, no, he's a really good quarterback. So it'll be interesting to see in a pick 'em game. I think the one in the Chargers just like they have the quarter. It's funny they have a rookie quarterback, but you already know they have the quarterback advantage over Derek Carr, who's been in the league for 7 years. So that'll be an interesting game today. Case, I know me and you will be heavily tuned into that game. It's funny how me and you just think the pessimistic side, like they have this chance to go to 5-3, be legit, but we're both like, yeah, probably not. It's not going to happen. They're just going to figure out a way to blow it one way or the other.
I just feel like Arnold's going to be in the way. Go Chargers, go.
Go Chargers, go. Yeah, one of the best ones ever. I love that one. That is awesome. That's a great video right there. All right, so let's get into our that's our go for two segment there. So we got the Saints, Bucks. Most of us, I think we all like the Bucks there. Tyler doesn't think the window's closed yet on the Saints, and then we got the Chargers. And the Raiders we talked about here. Me and Casey are a little pessimistic there about the Raiders winning that one. It looks like we all like the Chargers to pull that one out. So let's get to our dump and run segment here. Got 3 questions, 30 seconds. I think we've got 3 pretty good questions here. So I'm interested to see how you guys answer these ones. Let's go first football here. What fan base, Tyler, we'll let you go first, by the way. What fan base is more confident they will win the Super Bowl? Pittsburgh, Seattle, Kansas City, or Tampa Bay? Or I guess if you have another out there, you could throw another one out there.
I think they should all be pretty confident with their resumes, like
but what fan base is feeling the most cocky?
I would think Pittsburgh, just because they've won the most and they have the quarterback who's done it the most. And they're just consistently always. I think really Seattle is the only one that should be the least confident, just because their last offensive play in the Super Bowl is so mesmerizing. Like.
Go ahead, Casey. Yeah. Who you got? Who's the most confident fan base there?
Money, money, money. Chiefs, man. You got Mahomes. You guys is too good, man. I mean, really. What are you gonna do? They won it last year. I mean, there's nothing to stop them. They have the best defense in the league, but I've yet to see someone where Patrick Mahomes can't beat someone. And to me, might be a little off topic, but stop the Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes hype. Just stop it. Mahomes is so much better. And I love Lamar, but it's not close.
No, you're right, because Lamar can't do the passing stuff. He did have an unreal 25-yard touchdown run that last week. That he can't do, which is pretty special. But I'm with you on that one. I think Kansas City and Seattle are probably the most confident right now just because they're so confident in their quarterbacks. Tyler's probably right about the steadiness of that fan base feeling good. And then you have Tampa Bay, who's like the bandwagon fan base, is like, all right, we got Tom, we're just picking up weapons left and right. We're feeling really good. So I think it's kind of interesting, but I'm kind of with you, Case. I'm probably leaning towards Kansas City a little bit because obviously they're champs and they have the best quarterback probably in the league, even though Wilson at the moment is the heavy MVP favorite. Question number 2 here on the Dump and Run segment. In honor of Joe Biden winning the new presidency, I thought it was a good question here. Who is your favorite Joe in sports, ever or today? Tyler, who do you got?
Well, let's start with my least favorite Joe. That'd be Buck. My favorite Joe is a no-brainer, and we'll have to go with Joe Montana, who tied for most Super Bowls as a quarterback for my 49ers.
Do you remember watching him when you were 5?
I don't remember a damn thing other than the videos I've seen, but he gives me good stories to tell.
Casey, who's your favorite Joe in sports in honor of Mr. Biden winning?
My favorite, and Trump said the words, "Say it ain't so, Joe." Shoeless Joe Jackson.
I'm sure you saw him play as well.
Okay, yeah, you want to talk about when I was 5.
Casey's relying heavily on 8-man out.
Movie, 8-man out.
Acting performance.
John Cusack.
The acting performance at 8-man out. That's who Shoeless Joe Jackson is.
I love that movie. That's one of the best.
I'm going to go a little.
That was the first baseball movie I ever watched, actually. Papa gave us that most people don't know anymore.
Over Sandlot.
VHS, you know how they used to make them like that big. But yeah, that was the first baseball movie I ever watched.
All right, so you got Shoeless Joe Jackson from the 1919. Tyler's got Joe Montana from the 80s. And I'm going to go with a relevant star now. I'm going to go with my favorite Joe in sports is Joey Chestnut. The fact that man could eat as many hot dogs.
That is not a sport.
He doesn't die, and he eats like 80 hot dogs in 10 minutes. That's
amazing. It's an amazing feat, but I'm not giving that a sport.
I mean, the fact that you can do something like that is just incredible. Unbelievable.
How many wieners do you think you could eat? How many wieners do you think you could eat? 6?
Yeah.
I could probably eat, maybe at most, I'd probably 7, at most.
I could eat 12.
With the bun. You have to eat the bun, too.
Yeah.
And you can't throw up.
How long do you have? 10 minutes?
You have 10 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, I could get 6. 8, maybe. 6 to 8.
12. I'm going 12.
All right. Well, this sounds like a contest for us.
This
Tyler.
is a contest.
Are you dipping your bread in the water to make it easier to eat? I'm not doing that. That's disgusting.
We're going to do this on 4th of July, our podcast.
Yes, we're doing this. We're going to have a contest like this. All right. We definitely went over 30 seconds on that one, but well worth it.
And Darren's son is excluded because Derek does not count. He'll kill all of us.
Casey, my bet on that is you would probably eat the 12 hot dogs, but there's no way you would throw up. That's how that one works.
You have to be sober when you do it too.
Question number 3. In honor of Veterans Day, favorite war movie? Casey, you get the first crack at this one.
Saving Private Ryan is probably my favorite.
All right, I like that one. Very good, a classic. Tom always there, but very predictable. Tyler, do you have a one you like?
Yeah, he stole my answer.
Stole a thunder there a little bit on that
Saving
one.
Ryan's Privates.
Yeah, well, that's a different version, but I haven't seen that one. But
that's at a different store.
That's a different store.
I thought that's what
it's kind of a underrated movie. It's I like this movie called The Great Raid. It's about it came out about 15 years ago. It's about it's the greatest. I think it was the Japanese were holding our soldiers encampment, and it was like the greatest going in and recovering like as many soldiers as we did. I think it was like over 1,000 that we saved. So,
anybody get it? You want to shout out?
I think what's the guy? I forget his first name, but Franco. He's in it.
James Franco?
Yeah, he's in it. He's really young in that one. And there's a few other guys that you would recognize in it as well.
Seems interesting.
Yeah, no, it's a good movie. It's based on a true story, obviously, too. So yeah, check that one out. Yeah. But check that one out. It's a good one as well. So yeah. So all right. Well, that's our dump and run segment here for the week. 3 questions. Not quite 30 seconds, but that's all right, gentlemen. It was still fun to get into dipping hot dogs. So with that, now we're gonna. If Casey could actually eat 12 there. So with that said, let's get into our gambling segment here. for the week. Last week we all had pretty solid weeks. We all went 3-2. I'm at 21-17. Casey, you're 18-15. Tyler, you still have the percentage record at 20-15 going on. So we're all have positive records.
What are you at?
I'm at 21-17, but you're at 20-15. So you have the slight advantage. You missed a week, so you're a little bit on the percentage advantage there. So before we get into our 5 picks, Tyler, do you want to shout out?
We're all over 500 though. We're all over 500.
We're all over 500. So if you want to follow our picks, that is the good advantage there. Tyler, you want to give our fantasy player of the day?
Oh yeah, Derrick Henry versus the Detroit Lions.
But he's playing the Bears.
Oh, then it's not. It's whoever's playing the Lions. The running back for the Dalvin Cook. Sorry,
there you go.
Excuse me.
I was gonna
running back.
I was like, well, that's
listening, Darren. To anyone listening, I meant Ben Roethlisberger the other week.
I thought Tyler heard me say dead of the day against the Bears for a second time. All right, so you're going with Cook again. Cook was unreal last week. So Tyler's slightly chasing points, but we'll see if Cook can have another big
not
week
against the Lions. I'm not. It's easy money.
Easy money against the Lionesses. Casey, upset of the day.
This one was kind of hard for me. I don't know. It's I kind of thought about it. It took me a little bit, and I was like,
Does that mean you're thinking about it right now?
No, I mean, I thought about it all week. And I was just like, I'm taking the Colts.
Colts against the Ravens?
They're a favorite now, but okay.
The Colts are?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
But that's okay.
I thought they were underdog when I first.
They were to start the week.
But the heavy money's coming in now on the Colts. But it's all right.
Really?
I think, Tyler, do you look at that as an upset?
Yeah.
Do we allow that?
I mean, yeah, that's
Phillip Rivers. So I guess we'll allow that.
They're actually favored in that? No way. When did that change?
The money came in. All right. So, Casey, you got there. So, all right, let's get into our 5 picks of the week then. T, you get the first crack at it. Who you got for the 5 picks this week?
All right. Speaking of Colts and Ravens, I'm going to take the Colts as well, even getting a point. Ravens started out the week -4 favorites. Vegas knows something's happening in Indianapolis where the Colts are going to win this game. And then I got the Raiders and Chargers. I'm taking the Chargers. Herbert, Mike Williams. Hopefully Keenan Allen plays. He's going through some COVID stuff. He had a sore throat or something. And then the Cards versus Dolphins. I got the Cards at -4.5. Tua looked awful last week. Not ready. Cardinals have the number 1 offense in the NFL right now as far as yardage. So I'm taking the Cardinals. And then Patriots versus Jets. Jets are getting 8.5. I'm taking the Jets again. I went last week against the Chiefs. Didn't work out, but the Patriots roster is just as bad as the Jets roster.
I won
so
that.
My thought was, is Bill Belichick worth 8.5 points against Adam Gase? He probably is, but I'm taking the Jets. We got the Bucs versus Saints at ±50.5. I'm gonna say it's going over. I want Breeze versus Brady, maybe for the last time, to be a shootout.
Probably is. All right, so those are Tyler's picks again. He's got the percentage league out of all of us, so we're hoping for a few losses there. So me and Casey can jump over the top and take the lead. Case, who are your 5 picks?
Taking the Vikings. Kirk Cousins got to make that money. He always does it at the end of the year. Steals that money. Taking the Chefs, the Chiefs, Mahomes, my homeboy. You know how he does. Just kills it every time. They're too good. Seahawks, they got Russ Wilson, MVP. You know, just killing it right now. Killing it. And then I got the Broncos over the Falcons because the Falcons, you know, it's just, I don't know, they're the Falcons. They find a way to lose. And then, unfortunately, I got to do it to them. But I'm actually going to to make myself feel better, I'm going to take the Raiders, Chargers over.
All right, Raiders, Chargers over. In case you've been picking pretty well after your last couple bad weeks. You bounced back with a 3-2 week last week. We'll see if you can continue the track and see if you can catch Tyler as well. My 5 picks for the week I'm going to go with the Seahawks over the Bills. They got at -3. I'm going to take the Panthers and Chiefs over at 52.5. I'm banking on McCaffrey helping that situation out as well. Bears versus Titans. I'm going to take the under. It's 47 is the number, so I'm going to go under there. I'm going to take the Raiders over the Chargers. I just feel like the Raiders. They get 2.5 here, so I'm going to take the Raiders there. And then Bucks over Saints. I'm going to take the Bucks getting 4.5. I'm just banking on them. I just feel like this is the week the Bucks say that they're the best team in the NFC, right there with the even ahead of Seattle. So I'm just banking on them basically blowing out the Saints today is my prediction. So Clint, we'll get your picks up there online. Clint was 3-2 as well last week. I just wanted to let you gentlemen know before we end the NFL segment that because Tyler did bring up Tua there real quick that I did put $25 at plus 500 for the Dolphins to win the AFC East. So I'm now a big Dolphins fan going into the year because they could win a lot of money if they win the division. I just feel like the Bills really aren't as good as they are. And hopefully, Tyler, you brought up Tua not having good numbers, but the team won by a lot. So I'm banking on the Tebow factor of emotion here. That's what we're banking on. Just throw for 104 yards and you score any other way to win the game. So
hey, you know who's
I'm a little bit nervous now, but I'm a big Dolphins fan. Go Dolphins! Let's go.
You know who's backing you 100% right now, right?
Huh?
You know who's backing you 100%
Dan
right now?
Levitard?
Right? Nope.
Yeah.
Joy Taylor.
Hey, guess who else likes the Dolphins? My son, because of their damn logo. That's why he likes the Dolphins. And the other team he likes is like the Blue Jays. Like the two teams they like are the Blue Jays and the Dolphins because their logo's there.
And the Rockies.
Flanagan went in with me on this Dolphins pick, so it's going to be quite a big payout if we win. So go Dolphins. That's the big thing going into the week. We want them to pull it out. So, guys, that was good this week. Good NFL segment. We'll be back here to wrap it up with the NBA. All right, we'll be back. All right, welcome back to the Fatboy FadeAway podcast. We're back here with the NBA segment. We'll be touching on the NBA draft here in a second as well. But before we do, we wanted to touch on some of the big NBA news from the week. And gentlemen, we get to play basketball again a little earlier than I thought we were going to. I thought maybe we wouldn't get a start until March. I was thinking like a month ago, but after the owners crunched the numbers and said, whoa, we're going to lose $500 million to $1 billion, everybody. You know, our revenue is not going to get that if we don't play games on Christmas Day. I think the players, even though some of them did not want to, I think that helped motivate them to play. So with that said, they agreed to play on a December 22nd. It sounds like it's going to be a 72-game schedule. I'm excited because as a Warriors fan, we haven't seen them play since March. I know there's other fan bases out there that haven't seen their team play as well. So I'm pumped up for it. I know there's a lot of people out there that don't think it's like a good idea for them to play because it's been too short of an off season or, we still got COVID going on and certain things like that. But I guess my pushback to that would be, if you win the championship anyways, you're usually having a short off season most of the time anyways. And the NBA really has to, not even this season, they got to get their schedule back on track for like the next year. So if they don't do this one right, then they're going to just keep me behind the 8 ball. So they really got to kind of push it forward a little bit to get it done. So I know it might affect players like LeBron, who's been very not happy about it or something like that. Who's like, I won't be playing till February or stuff like that. So I think there was a podcast where Danny Green came out or said, Danny Green came out. I was like, well, there's going to be a lot of veteran players on this team not playing, but and that's where I think LeBron's voice sometimes it almost has like too much of an impact. I'm like, how about the other player? Like, there's like 400 other players that probably got to be wanting to make money, right? And you got to be wanting to get their stats and wanting to be making roster spots. So, other than just the superstars, I think it's really important for those guys to get out there and get playing again. And obviously, like I said, our favorite team hasn't been out there since March. I really want to see them play again. So. I don't know. Your guys' thoughts, T, your thoughts on maybe the NBA getting back to an early start here?
I mean, it is the earliest start in the history of any sport at like 72 games between.
I saw that. 72 days,
which is a crazy – it seems a little early, but like you said, they have to get it ready for years to come. It's not just going to affect this year. It's going to affect next year and the year after that. Or you got to get it back to where it was or just continue with this timeline. I like this timeline, 72-game series starting in mid-December maybe. It would be perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the NFL also realized too they can't go to, or the NBA realized if they go into the NFL, the ratings are they're never going to be able to.
Yeah, and the
to
NBA
match
ratings
anything.
are terrible I don't know if that's COVID related and the Black Lives Matter, but I don't want to get into that. But yeah,
I think there was a lot of reasons why for it, but I
Yeah.
think also them just going up against football and college football, and all the election stuff going on just didn't help their TV ratings as well. Case, your thoughts on the NBA getting back to possibly an early start or earlier start than we thought?
No, let's get into that a little bit. I mean, there's 4 million difference between the popular vote. So you're going to promote Black Lives Matter. There's going to be a big turnoff on that, and you're wondering about the revenue. So you got 1 billion to billion people that's saying like basically like F off, like I don't want to watch this. And we're not just talking US, we're talking global. I mean, look what happened with China and everything with Daryl Morey, saying what he had to say. So to me, though, the NBA is doing the right thing, collaborating and coming together. And Andre Iguodala had a nice thing talking about, he's VP president, of basketball for the players. And, it's just, you got to do what you got to do. Sometimes you just got to sack up and kind of take one for the team, but, it's for the best interest of everybody. I don't
mankind or of the NBA?
Of the NBA. But
well, yeah, but then
But see, I don't.
people would be like, "What about mankind's more important than NBA?" Like, we can take a couple dollar losses to. See, it's a big thing that
only,
you can't
but
really...
a few players can take the dollar loss. There's some on the NBA that probably aren't agreeing with that. Like,
I'm with you on that.
Yeah. No, I'm just more.
Yeah.
So what are you guys trying to say then? I'm confused.
There's no right way to do it and wrong way to do it. You're screwing yourself one way, or you're helping someone here, but you're hurting your business.
I think they're doing the right thing because they're going to lose out on that money overall. And then it doesn't hurt players, like we said, the superstar players, but it would in some ways too. Cause even somebody crazy like Curry that makes like 40 million, if he was to lose 40% of his revenue or, all that, like his contract, take out taxes, all that would, for him, it'd still drop all the way to like 17 million, which is kind of crazy when it started at 40 million. It's still a ton of money, but
he's like, I'm going to Miami, no taxes.
So, I think with the NBA starting back up, I think it's end up being a good thing. I think it will hurt maybe some teams like the Lakers early on, but it's hard to feel bad for a team like that and some of the other teams that I don't know. There's just too much at stake going forward for them to not start this early, I feel like. So with that said, that was the big news from the NBA this week. And I know maybe how we might feel differently about some of the other stuff with it going on, but I think we're all excited that the NBA could be making a return back earlier, and we could especially see our Warriors back on the court sooner than later here.
Well rested for that sleepy king.
Should be very well rested. The Warriors. So with that said, boys, let's get into what we really wanted to kind of talk about today. We got our NBA draft segment. I know we're all kind of draft nerds from doing our, especially doing like video games over the years. You kind of always drafting guys, getting familiar with people and just kind of interested in their college years and how they'll develop and what teams they turn out to. And so even though we won't know this year if these guys are any good, it'll be kind of fun to maybe do a redraft 10 years from now. You remember when we did all those redrafts on our podcast? It was funny kind of looking back, like when I'm going through this list, I'm like, there's probably only going to be like 2 guys that we care about at the end of the day. So
yeah, exactly.
It's just kind of funny going through all these names and, oh, this guy will be good. But at the end of the day, there's probably just going to be a few of them that we actually really like. So NBA draft is set for next Thursday, November 18th, 4:00 Pacific time on ESPN. The big thing is considered a weak draft class.
ESPN.
Yep, considered. Yeah, sponsor us. That'd be nice. It's considered a pretty weak draft class, which for me sometimes can equal surprises. Just to let you guys know, the top 5 picks in this draft are Minnesota 1, Golden State, Charlotte, Chicago, Cleveland, and then we go Atlanta, Detroit, New York, Washington, Phoenix round out the top 10. Some of the big players going into this draft, the big names that you're gonna hear us talk about, and some other names you're gonna hear out there are Anthony Edwards from Georgia, Wiseman from Memphis, you'll hear about LaMelo Ball, Toppin from Dayton, Hayes, Okoro, and Casey. I'm gonna let you say the guy.
Annie Adabiki.
I'm gonna let Casey say the USC guy's name. Is it Okongwa? Okongwa? Is that how you say it? How do you say the guy's name? I lost
you for a second. What?
How do you say the guy's name from USC again?
USC?
Is it Okongwa?
Okoro?
Yeah.
No, that's from Auburn.
Yeah, that's not the guy I was thinking of.
Okay, I'm thinking about the other guy from there. And then Tyler, we got the other guy from Iowa State too. I just didn't write his name down.
Halliburton.
Halliburton's, yeah, who I'm very impressed with as well. So those are some of the names and the teams and the picks that we're going to be discussing here in the NBA draft here. So, gentlemen, with that said, let's get into our some of the questions I got for us. The 5 questions I have for us about the draft. First one, we're going to go to Tyler here. With the first pick, we got the Timberwolves, and they're not necessarily in an ideal spot considering they have the first pick. You know what I mean? Out of all the years, you would think you'd want the first pick. This might not be that one year. So, Tyler, the question to you to get us started here on our NBA draft segment is, what do the T-Wolves do with the first pick in this draft? They're in an interesting spot.
I think they'll trade it for the third pick, and they'll come up and take Wiseman so the Warriors can't. But
I mean, Charlotte will take Wiseman?
Yeah. But if they hold on to it, I think they'll take Anthony Edwards.
Because
out of sheer need, and they don't need a point guard. They don't need a center. So Anthony Edwards is what's.
I think that's the hard thing for Minnesota this year, right? Is like usually is like the center would be the obvious pick, but they have Towns. And then
exactly.
Okay, well now the point guard is the next obvious pick, but they got the point guard. And then Edwards, he's kind of it's a tough spot for them. It's kind of an interesting dilemma. It's like the one year you just do not want. The first pick doesn't really mean as much.
Especially if you're Minnesota.
Yeah, it's just a weird overall thing for them. Case, what do you think the T-Wolves, where they're at with this pick? Kind of not necessarily the spot you want to be in.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like I thought about it a lot, actually, because we went over this conversation. Wiseman already said he doesn't want to play for the T-Wolves. But to me, he reminds me of a Kevin Garnett, which would kind of restart their franchise. But when I look at them, I'm like, I just don't understand why he doesn't want to play for them. And then I kind of looked at it, I was like, who the hell wants to play with Karl Anthony Towns? He's kind of a bitch.
I don't think anyone wants to live in Minnesota.
And Russell.
Not a bitch, but he makes those two together.
I'd love to see you tell him that.
He lost his mother to COVID, for guts.
No, I'm not calling him a bitch or saying he is a bitch. I'm just saying, like, the way, like, when he plays with other people with similar talents at that same position, he's been kind of like, maybe he's matured, but it feels like to me, like, if him and Wiseman could, like, complement each other, and a lot of people are like, oh, they do the same stuff, which I kind of agree on, but Wiseman, I think they could be like a David Robinson, Tim Duncan, if they actually just put their shit aside and just let them ball out. D'Lo, D'Angelo Russell, I think they have a good 1, 2, 3 if they got those 3. Just my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's kind of an interesting play for the Wolves this year. I don't think they'll have the guts to take another big and go and play to go basically go the opposite of the way the league's going right now. So I kind of think they're kind of Tyler's right. I think they really want the guy from Israel. I just can't say his name at all. So Tyler, I'm gonna let you. Denny, is that what we'll call him? We'll call him.
Yeah,
Denny.
let's call him Denny.
We'll call him Denny. I think that's the guy they really want, because I think they want the wing that can possibly play defense. And so my guess is that's who I think they want to take. So I think Tyler, they do want to trade out of that. But again, it's easy to say for like the T-Wolves or the Warriors really want to trade out of that pick, but that means a team has to trade up. You know what I mean? And at a weak class, not many teams, I'm not seeing that possibly happening. So I think I'm with you. I think the team will probably end up having to take Edwards just out of need there. But it's a big draft for the Wolves. They cannot mess this up. They're in a pretty good they're like in a prime situation here to make this happen, if they can make it happen and take advantage of this pick. Case, let's get on to you with the second question here. Tyler will obviously butt in as well. What do you see the Warriors doing? Second pick overall. What do you see the Warriors doing? You see them drafting Wiseman if he's there. Like we said, we don't see we'll say the T-Wolves take Edwards there with the first pick. So, I know you've kind of been suspect, it sounds like, on Wiseman a little bit, and you've started to come around on him a little bit. But what do you see the Warriors doing if they do take Wiseman? Why?
If they take Wiseman, it'll be because they need a big, and Draymond's the perfect pupil, to teach him defense.
Throw those lobs?
The lobs, yeah, man. I mean, he's just Draymond is so smart on the basketball court. I think his elevation, Wiseman will excel to a whole nother level. And people don't realize Wiseman's actually a pretty decent perimeter shooter. I would say a 3-point shooter. But I think one of the things, and I've thought about this for a while, is Draymond, when the Warriors were winning the 15, I think it was 2015, he was shooting 38% from three. And the last 2 or 3 years, he's been shooting 30% or below. So I think if that's kind of why I'm a little hesitant, because Wiseman, I think, might start out like that, but he might dip back down. And I love Draymond, but I think Wiseman might have a hard time adjusting to that, how they play that 5. And I don't know. I honestly think that Edwards would be a better fit, but you might get more, how do I say, more value out of the trade from Wiseman.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good call there on Wiseman a little bit. I think with the Warriors specifically, I think they have a golden chance. They have a golden opportunity. That you never have a team that has a championship window and then gets to reload with a top 3 pick. It very rarely happens. It's only happened a few times in history. Pistons got lucky with it. They blew it. The Lakers had the same situation. They took Worthy. That extended their window even longer. The Celtics screwed over a certain team to get Larry Bird the year before. So they ended up taking him with the third. They get him the 3rd pick. So yeah, the Magic getting lucky and getting Shaq and stuff like that. So there's only these but those weren't championship teams. These are teams like the Warriors are set to win a championship, and you very rarely get this championship or this chance to reload and keep that dynasty going.
Maybe the Spurs.
No. I said Kareem and Magic.
Gotcha. And with Wiseman, my iffy thing on Wiseman is this. I worry about him. It feels like when I watched him play 3 games and then I watched him a little bit on tape. So it's only high school, right? And it's only 3 games at college against pretty crappy competition. Maybe Oregon was the only team he played that was decent. The thing, you guys know what I'm talking about. The only thing I worry about, especially with the Warriors system is, and this is where Bogut was so good, and I got so pissed at Stephen A. Smith all the time for ripping on him, is that in the Warriors particular system, the better your big is at understanding angles, passing, they excel at a different rate. I don't know. It seems like when he's playing, the way he processes information to then his body being able to functionally do it, it seems like it just doesn't work as well. That doesn't mean he can't get there. I like the way he seals and does some other big man stuff. I guess I would love, like you said, Casey, the chance for them to draft Edwards. To get to develop and play with 2 future Hall of Fame shooting guards, maybe the best backcourt ever at the end of the day. Probably is. That's a very rare opportunity, especially in nowadays basketball that is getting a little smaller. Edwards could help that defense as maybe moving forward. He can maybe take some of that pressure off Clay, who always has to guard the best defender as well. So,
and Clay's coming off that ACL injury, so you don't want him to go too hard into it. I mean, granted, he's played, hasn't played for over a year, but, you kind of want to ease him in a little bit,
Yeah. So, no, you're right. And I just think it's a rare opportunity. I think we can agree, right, between all 3 of us, it's Edwards and Wiseman are not probably falling out of the top 2, right?
No,
I don't think
unless somehow they pick Ball first overall, but
yeah.
But more than likely, they're going to end up with one of those guys, right? The Warriors, if they just stay where they're at, they're going to get Edwards or they're going to get Wiseman. So it is going to be interesting to see what they do and how one of those 2 guys develop for them if they don't trade out.
I gotta ask this question, and I've been meaning
What's
to
that?
do it. Who do you think is going to be the best? Not saying the best player out of this entire draft. I think it's Obi Toppin.
Well, let's get into that when we do our sleeper pick here, Case, in a few minutes.
Okay.
But so with the Warriors there, just to put a bow on the Warriors there in the 2nd pick is, we'll see with Edwards and Wiseman. I mean, Tyler, why don't you jump in real quick? Who do you like with the Edwards? How do you feel about Edwards with the Warriors? I want to get your thoughts on that.
I mean, I think it'd be perfect situation for him. I just don't feel like he seems a little small bodied for me. I mean, he could always get bigger. He seems lanky. I don't know. He's just not
He's pretty buff. He's kind of like a Dwayne Wade.
He's
more like Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, he's a little. He's pretty. That I guess that's a little bit. He does have a little bit of Donovan Mitchell. He's taller than that though. But yeah, I hear you.
I'm just not a big.
No,
I liked him in the beginning of the year, but then the more I watched him, the less consistent and he wasn't what's it called when you're.
Yeah,
and that's just him being young and. But no, I think Wiseman is going to be the best player in the draft. Like, in case he was
see.
wondering, I think he's going to be a stud. Much as Adrian Woj said, as soon as Wiseman steps on the court, he's the most athletic player out there. So, I mean, you're getting that without even knowing how to play basketball to start. Like, if he doesn't know how to play, like, we'll see.
Yeah. No, I think you're right there.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But I take
Wiseman.
Wiseman.
Good call there. Yeah, that's a good call. We'll see how it all plays out. Everything takes time. We'll see if Wiseman can get the mental capacity to equal his physical gifts that he has. I think if he can, you're probably right. He might have the advantage there. My worry is that maybe he just doesn't find that, and he's probably just a good player for 10 years.
And he could be injured all the time.
He could be injured. Yeah, we never know about that. What was our guy from I don't know? He says he watched him since high school in Memphis and said that was his biggest issue with him was his injury prone there too. So, all right, let's get through this here. We got a few more questions. Tyler, let's get to number 3 here. Kind of we'll call him the Hollywood of the draft here, the hype man. We got to get into LaMelo Ball a little bit. He's been talked about since he was like 3, it feels like here. He's been shooting 1,000 shots for every team he's played for. He's been waving people off since 2nd grade, shooting from half court. Where do you think he goes? What do you think his story ends up at here?
I think he ends up in Chicago, and I think it'll be a good fit for him if they keep
with Levine.
No, I don't think. See, I'll let you. We have another topic where I get into that.
I think you're putting a "we" on it.
No, it's our podcast. Yeah, we. Our podcast.
I thought you were claiming the Bulls for a second.
No, we have another topic that we get into that, and I think Ball with Marketed and Wendell Carter as the 2 bigs are kind of athletic and have some touch outside of the paint and could open things up. And I think he's going to be a good pick and roll player. And like you said with Edwards, like learning, I think he'd fit with the Warriors if he didn't have his damn dad learning under Steph and Clay but he has other issues, or not even his issues that he was born with.
Yeah,
I think he'll end up in Chicago.
Yeah, that's not a bad. That's kind of what I think a lot of people are thinking as well. Chicago, it's interesting because they drafted that guy from North Carolina last year. Was it White, right?
Yeah, he's more of a shooter though. Anyway,
so that was kind of a weird pick last year. Case, what do you think of Ball?
I think he's a stud. I think he's going to be great. I mean, as long as
you would take him 1 then?
No, I think he's great. I think he's a stud, but I won't take him 1. I'd take him 5.
Not Chicago.
I think, to me, I don't think he's as good as he's portrayed. Like, I get it. He's had that experience like Luka Doncic, who's played overseas against grown men, and, he's been here and played there, but shot looks kind of funky. I mean, I get it. It goes in. That's all that matters. But to me, it's like I'm taking Edwards, Wiseman. I'm taking Okoro even before him. And people are like, oh, he can't shoot. He probably can't right now, but he's, to me, Andre Iguodala, and I don't think LaMelo Ball is going to be better than Okoro. So
I think Ball's I think we could probably say based on his highlights, he probably has the highest ceiling just because he makes some like pretty incredible highlight plays.
I mean, he's a
6'9"
point guard.
Yeah, he's obviously got a good feel for passing, but his shooting is it's iffy, right? His shooting is iffy. And the other thing with him too is like it's hard not to think like not necessarily his dad, but he's kind of been catered to his game, right? Like we all know if we play on a team and the coach says you're the best player and you kind of get to run the show, like it does build a little bit more. You know what I mean? It's kind of you can kind of get stats a little overblown. Your confidence is a little different, knowing that you're not going to necessarily be pulled out for things. So I'm not taking away his talent. I'm just saying it's a different mentality heading into the draft.
I think every top prospect,
because a lot of teams have been saying they're not been impressed with his interviews and stuff like that. And I'm hearing he's starting to slip a little bit.
So do you think he'll be better than his brother?
I don't know. Alonzo, if it's bubble Alonzo, yes. If it's pre-bubble Alonzo, I kind of thought that player looked pretty decent. But when he was in the bubble, he looked like the worst player in the NBA.
That's one of my favorite quotes from Charles Barkley, like Ernie Johnson. Did you see anything?
A single double or?
Yeah,
he goes, Alonzo Ball got a triple single.
Yeah, triple single.
That is pretty on that one.
Points. He's like, I think he had 2 blocks, and he's like, man, he had 2 more points than me.
I think he is going to be better than his brother, but his brother didn't necessarily set the highest of ceilings either. So
It's not saying a lot.
I know. So I don't know.
mean,
We'll see.
they're
We'll see where
multi-millionaires.
he ends up.
So.
That is true. He is. I think he's the most intriguing prospect for a lot of people, but like
I think he's going to be really
he's
good.
Also, somebody a lot of he comes with a little baggage. Yeah. So Tyler, you think Chicago? I think that's like the worst fit for him. I think Washington would be like one of the better fit. It would be maybe better for him just because he could have some guards.
Why though?
Play
What's your reason
possibly
behind that?
Take over. I just kind of like how you mentioned. I think the Warriors would be the best fit, right? Because of but I just don't think the Warriors will take him because of the other stuff. I think he would be better with playing with maybe some veteran players to begin out with, and I know Wall and Beal.
You're putting him in Washington. That's a toxic wasteland.
I don't know. I just feel like he's playing with some better guards to start out with instead of just getting to run the show and do whatever he wants at the beginning. So,
okay,
that's my thing with him on that one. So, all right, let's get into we got two more here before we wrap it up here on an NBA draft segment. We talked about some guys here. Casey, you mentioned a few sleepers there. Sounds like we kind of know who you're going to go with on yours here. But who are somebody that we didn't talk about, or is a sleeper that you kind of like in this 2020 draft? Casey, since you kind of were mentioning your guy, why don't you go first?
Well, I'm going with Isaac Okoro. I think 6'9", just a wing player. I think he's going to develop. Can't shoot at all right now. I'll admit that, but
out of Auburn, right?
Huh?
Out of Auburn.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Auburn.
He's just, I don't know. Every time I watched him, which was a few times, I ain't gonna lie, but he did kind of stand out where you're like, damn, this dude's got some raw talent. And then I don't know. I mean, he's averaged. I think it was like 12 points. Nothing crazy, but
he plays really hard on defense, though.
He's a beast on defense. Like, I mean, he just gives full effort. But
no doubt.
To me, it's like, I don't know. Like, I have a hard time with this because, like, on draft day, you just never know. Like, they're always projected. Like, but these are young men. Like, when we came into work, you just don't know who's going to work hard, has a good year, and then just says, fuck it, I'm done.
So, in a draft like this, I kind of like picks like 6 through 12 better than like 1 through 5.
That's what I'm saying.
It's kind of a draft where you almost don't even want to be in the top 5, like in some ways, just because you think you could get the same value maybe later in the draft. Tyler, is there somebody that you think is your before we get off Casey's Okoro, I do remember you on Twitter I don't know where it was, but you did say, hey, I like this guy too, but I feel like you said this guy can't shoot.
Yeah, I did. I can't shoot
but to Casey's point, he is a beast of a defender. So Tyler, who do you got for a sleeper guy we didn't talk about?
I got Tyrese Maxey from Kentucky, point guard. Was top prospect, one of the top prospects coming into college. I feel like he just fits that Devin Booker, Bam, Tyler Hero, just guys from Kentucky that don't play as well as maybe like carry a whole college team Booker was on that unreal team, but like they kind of underachieve in college where they just flourish in the NBA once they get there.
And that's kind of why I like those guys in that middle range too, is because they develop a chip on their shoulder because they feel like they got slighted as well. So they even come in with a little bit more like Casey, like let's take a guy like yours, especially who's like, kind of maybe gets drafted like at 12 or something like that. He's already plays really hard, so his intent, those are the guys that you kind of look for to have sneaky.
Look at the best
good
point
starts
guards in the league. The best point guards in the league. Every one of them got slighted.
Most of them did, yeah, for sure. At some point, most of them. A few did. I'm not going to go completely.
Well, when's a slight? Like, what's a slight? Like,
I mean, like everybody gets slighted.
Yeah, exactly. Like
you say, hey, pick Ricky Rubio and Johnny Flynn.
Okay, well, Curry's one guy. I agree.
Damian Lillard.
He went to Davidson, so he's been slighted his whole.
I will say both Lillard and Curry did still top 10. So yeah, that's what this thing.
I'm gonna
go.
Though.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Everybody does get. That's the thing with a draft is you very rarely get a draft report comes back where it's like everything's beautiful, but so you're right. There's a little motivation behind everybody getting slighted and stuff like that. But I do like the guy you threw out the Cora. Tyler, you went out. Name the guy again for me.
Tyrese Maxey.
Maxey. That's a good pick. I like that.
I'm gonna go a little farther down on the board a little bit. This guy probably won't be in the superstar range at all. Probably not an all-star either. I'm sorry if I get his name right. I always pick the guys with like the hardest last names. I think where's a Joe Smith out of here? I mean, come on, help me out once in a while. I'm going to go with the forward from Memphis. I kind of like the other guy on the Memphis Tigers. The other big guy. His name is Precious. I want to say Chua, something like that. I want to say.
You're gonna have to call his mom after this.
You should have asked. I don't know sports.
I know they're from Memphis. Maybe they could help me out with it on this one, but. I don't know. Whenever I watch, because after Wiseman didn't play, I was kind of interested in watching them again. And the guy kind of reminds me a little bit of like a Fareed or a what's the guy from the Clippers, Harrell, a little bit. Just the way they play, they're very aggressive on the boards. They have very high intensity energy. You guys know I love guys like that just are constantly trying to rebound and like never give up.
The best guys to play with.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not saying they're game changers, but they can be game changers for moments because their just effort level is higher than everybody else's at moments. So I'm going to go with him as right now he's projected to go 16. What I saw to Portland, that'd probably be a good pick for them. But I would, so he's my sleeper of the draft here. So with that said, guys, go ahead, T.
Let me just, I wanted to shout out Tyrell Terry, point guard from Stanford as well, who I didn't even know played college basketball until I looked into this subject. I was like, wow, this guy has a great shot. Like he kind of reminds me of a poor man Steph in the way he plays, but okay.
And who's the other guy we were saying that looks like Harden? Hayes, right?
Yeah,
he's getting a lot of hype too. The lefty Hayes, he's got a point guard who kind of looks like his game kind of bounces off. I don't think it's Killian Hayes.
Killian.
He played in Germany. Grew up, or from America. His dad's from America, but he's been playing
Army
in Germany
family
for the last 6 years. So like his game is very mature and knows angles, but his thing is athleticism a little bit. Kevin O'Connor, who has a lot of respect in the draft industry, he has him as his number one prospect. So we'll see how high he ends up in the draft. All right. So with that said, let's get to our last question here on the NBA draft segment. Kind of a different one, not necessarily about a player. This is kind of more about a fan base here. Because I was, as a Warriors fans, right, that drafted in the lottery for, 16 straight years. We were in the lottery and we had it just felt like it was that was our favorite part, was the lottery. I mean, we really had nothing else to look forward to. But
the only thing we could win, and we rarely won that.
Yeah, very true. Who could they pick?
Our Super Bowl was playing the Lakers every year.
Exactly.
We had 1 out of 4 chances.
Yes,
we'd have more
Lakers
fans there than Warriors fans.
Exactly. I was just like, we got a 25% chance each year, and Brian Johnson came into our lives, and then we had about a 35% chance.
35%. There you go. All right, last question of the day here. Tyler, you get the first crack at it. What fan base do you not want to be headed into this draft, and why?
Charlotte.
Yeah.
I think because you have Michael Jordan picking their players and letting their I think he's the greatest basketball player of all time.
His resume of picking players is not high. Look at Charlotte's last 15 draft picks.
Exactly
pathetic.
It's Warriors-esque.
All right, so you're going with the Hornets. It's hard for me to go with the Hornets just because they're my second favorite team, as people always know. Just always is my team that I like. Maybe it's the lame turquoise that I like. And obviously Baron Davis being on the team. Case, what's the fan base you definitely do not want to be going into this draft?
Anything resembled anything close with James Dolan, I will not take the Knicks.
The Knicks. And they get the 8th pick. Not very desirable in this draft either.
Worst ownership in the history of any sport.
No, I don't know. The Dodgers.
Chris Cohan's
Dodgers just won the World Series.
A couple years ago.
How about the racist guy from the Clippers?
Oh, Donald Sterling.
He did date an African American lady, though.
Oh, I'm sure that makes.
I like how you said professionally correct African American.
What am I supposed to say? Black. That's how I always speak. Well, I don't know. She's from that. Or never mind. I'm gonna shut up.
Did you know it's actually offensive? I went to Starbucks and I said, "Hey, can I get a black coffee?" And she's like, "Whoa!" Kind of looked at me, and I was like, "What?" She's like, "We don't say that anymore." And I was like, "Can I get a coffee dark?" She's like, "That's more appropriate." I was like,
"Did they really do that?"
Yeah, no, I'm not playing.
That's funny.
I was like, "Can I get a black coffee?" And she's like, "Whoa, we don't say that." And I was like, "How do we say it?" Then I was like, "Can I just get coffee?" Like. Coffee? Like, how else do you say it?
Yeah, you're like the least.
I guess that is what
it
is. It's just coffee if you don't get anything in it.
Yeah. So
all right,
to go to the store and just get my Nitro Starbucks so I don't have to talk to you. I was like, I don't want to deal with this shit. But yeah, let's start laughing.
All right, I'm going to go with Detroit as the fan base I don't want to be. I just feel like they have no young talent unless you consider Luke Kennard part of that gift there.
I could see Michael Jordan trading for Luke.
They're just in like the worst possible spot. They're always drafting between like 12 and like 9 now. They have a player in Blake Griffin who is past his prime, who's cost too much money, who's slightly injury prone. So and their fan base right now it's hit or miss. They have like the least amount of season ticket holders there are right now for the last like 3 years. So I just feel like they're in a really bad spot. Probably
they have had no one to watch the last 3 years. Also,
Yeah.
Let's be like, I wouldn't buy season tickets to that crap.
Yeah, but they've even struggled before that too. I mean, they have a little bit more history with it. But even when they've had good teams, they still sometimes have struggled with attendance there at times. So, all right, so that's our NBA draft segment there, guys, for the week here. So before we add the pod here, Casey wanted to give a little shout out to Kobe Bryant, who made his debut 24 years ago.
24 years ago on a Friday, this past Friday. I just with the NBA draft coming up, it's been a crazy year. I think we've kind of forgotten those that truly matter. You know, it's been a rough year for all of us. COVID, pandemic, haven't been able to get outside, but I know Kobe would want us to live that Mamba mentality and just keep pushing. You know, like today was the last day you're ever gonna live, man. Which sadly, RIP, unfortunately, was his day. You know, and I loved him. It was a big impact on my life, to be honest. And I just with the NBA draft coming up, kind of made me a little emotional, to be real. And RIP Kobe Bryant, to me, probably the best player to ever play. Besides, I would say top 3: Michael, Michael, Kobe, and LeBron. And I think Kobe left, to me, the biggest impacts on how I want to live my life, because that was how I knew an athlete and what it was like to be an athlete. And I don't know. I love him. You know, it's crazy how I can love someone without knowing him, but he changed my life.
We're in a tier. Do it for the reviews.
Well, I have a lot of respect for Kobe, and obviously none of us like the way it ended there. I definitely hated him as a player. We're not BSing that. Remember, I used to rip on him.
Oh, you guys,
the time as a player. I hated him as a player. I just thought he was an arrogant prick as a player. But obviously, as a human being, you know, he left a big impact on a lot of people, so you can't dispute that. And obviously, it's just sports at the end of the day. So, yeah, no doubt. It's crazy to think 24 years ago it was. And then, you know, we did that rewatchable like when he was young there too. So, yeah, time does go fast, just like we talked about last week too with cancer. So you never know how long we're here on life. So make the most of it, people, when you're here. So, yeah, people, that's our podcast for the week here. Thanks for joining us again. Please subscribe to us on our YouTube channel. Search Fatboy FadeAway. You can find us at Twitter at Fatboy FadeAway as well. We'll probably be on there tweeting a little bit today about the football games. You can also find our podcast on there as well. Please follow Tyler at Tyler McGurk. So it's Tyler MGUIRK. Follow him there. He's been tweeting there lately. And then we also got Casey on there. This is the correct one at Casey 905-82186. Also,
that's his phone number as well, ladies.
And Mexico's number as well, like you pointed out last week. So, also, I wanted to give a little shout out to this guy at Airball on Twitter. It's been fun to tweet him a little bit. His Gators pulled it out yesterday a little bit, so it's kind of fun tweeting him. He had a funny tweet about Durant, Clay, Dirk, or Larry Bird. Who would you want to leave off? So I think Tyler responded it today, so I encourage all of you guys to look at that as well. And also, please listen to some of our other pods out there as well. Like the Let's Be Real podcast. A new one I found is called the Old Farts Podcast. Not bad as well. And then also House of Hoops. It's called the Old Farts Podcast. It's not terrible. Out of Portland, Oregon. They're like these 60-year-old guys talking about football. It's not horrible. They're pretty good. They're pretty good. They got House of Hoops. They're not bad. And then, of course, our guy, I Don't Know Sports Podcast, who's bringing out his tomorrow. So, and of course, follow us as well at Fatboy FadeAway. Guys, it was good. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Bye.